warm welcome to you all. Thanks for joining us this evening. My own name is Eamon and on my left here is my colleague, our senior negotiator, Germaine.
Hello.
Just for the next 15 or 20 minutes, we're just going to give you an overview on the market so far in 2021, and from both a potential vendor and indeed from anyone that's buying the properties out there at the moment, just to give you an update on the market and see where it is at, because there's a lot of misconceptions, I suppose, about the market as we are in the middle of a COVID pandemic. So far, 2021 has been a year like no other. Despite the ongoing restrictions, the second-hand market, particularly here in North Kildare, has been extremely buoyant, and I think it's the case right across the country. Any other agent you're talking to, everybody is saying the same. You know, there is a lot of activity there. So this evening we just want to put it all into perspective for each and every one of you. The main thing, I suppose, to get across is that whilst we're not allowed to do physical viewings, Karen will talk about this in a few minutes, but we're not allowed to do physical viewings with the guidelines from the Property Services Regulator Authority. Once you do go sale agreed on a property, we then at that stage can do a physical viewing with you. But in the meantime, we'll touch on it in a few minutes as well, the walkthrough videos we do and the way we do all our virtual viewings. So it gives everyone a very, very good perspective on the property that they are buying. I know it's not an easy thing to do to buy something off a video, but you will see as we go forward. Karen will explain that more to you. So Karen, maybe over to you. The year for here in North Kildare could be summarised, I suppose, strong demand.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, very limited supply, but still very active and a lot of bidders there, first-time buyers, especially all mortgage approved that are pretty much ready to go. It's been a very good, still quite active from the get-go there in January. And
some towns in North Kildare come down 70%
absolutely,
year on year.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a significant decrease in supply there at the moment, which is obviously making all of our bidders very eager still to buy properties, still to move forward and bid on properties. So definitely, yeah, the supply is having a huge impact on the market there at the moment. And
then the other thing, I suppose, for potential vendors that are, what prices are achieving well in excess?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So we're achieving well in excess of the current asking prices. And in some cases, we are even 7%, 10% over the asking price. We had one particular property there. We had active 11 bidders, and we achieved well over the 10% on it. So 11 people bidding on one property, which really, really increased
I wouldn't say 11, but it's common now that multiple bidders on every property. It's not uncommon. It is common, and it is.
Absolutely.
And people have to be aware of no matter what type of a property you're bringing to the market, you are going to have multiple bidders on it.
Definitely. And I think an awful lot, because it's so accessible, as I know we're going to touch on later, with the online viewing of that, so we have more and more people looking to view them with the online viewing as well, through Zoom and various other platforms, which kind of increase the active bidding then on a property as well.
And the other thing, Karen, obviously our database, we have a huge database of buyers.
Over 400, yeah, we've over 400 on our own database. This is only our own one. Here in this office, and we send out, as soon as we get new properties on, we send out our buyer matching. So when you've put in your criteria, we have buyers who are ready to go, mortgage approved, and we've seen sight of all of their documentation. And
the other thing, I suppose, to maybe make potential vendors this evening listen as well, is the connection we have with other FitzGerald offices in Dublin or throughout the country, because there's a lot of movement throughout the whole residential market now, from east to west, and even from Dublin coming out to this area as well.
Yeah, so we've dealt with people moving back up towards maybe Kildare from the country. We've also seen people who are maybe looking to move down to the country, and we put them in contact, and we have a really good FitzGerald offices have a really good bond with each other. We all kind of, would stay in contact and I suppose, and help purchasers and vendors alike.
It's an assistance to somebody who wants to relocate down to Wexford, or want to go to Cork, or go to Mayo or Sligo.
Absolutely. Wherever
they want. We can recommend a good FitzGerald office in that area to look after their needs and all that as well.
Yeah.
Technology, as you touched on there, Karen, has played a huge role so far in it. So maybe from a person listening again this evening, potential vendor, take through the steps to with the restrictions, what we have to do initially to go out and to look at the property. We are allowed to go actually physically go out and do a walkthrough of the property.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, which with social distancing or with full vacant possession, we can still go out, give a market appraisal on a property. Obviously chat about it afterwards by the phone, and then send emails out regarding all of our documentation, our letters, our market appraisal letters. We can then also as well, photographers, BER guys can still go out to take on a property once we have vacant possession then on a property as well. at that, not vacant possession, but the property is vacated at that time. So we can still put a property on the market. So our photographer, the BER guys, even the identity valuers and surveyors can still go out into a property once it's vacated for them at the time. Yes, yeah.
And a virtual viewing, in layman's terms, and people hear about these virtual viewings, just maybe, I didn't know what the word last year, but just give a brief what it is, what it entails, like our video people go out.
Yeah, I think we were already ahead of the game even at that, because we were already doing up to last year the videos and the video walkthroughs and that, so they're a little bit more detailed I think at the moment, where we're going more so into bathrooms, going into every room, whereas it was always just an overview, but when you can still physically view them. So at the moment we go right through the property, walk right through the property, which allows us then when we're doing the virtual viewings is to go walk people through it on our Zoom viewings, walk them right through it, to point out all the features of each and every room and go through it, so they get a really good overview. But like that as well, when we go to the market and we're going onto our plans with our video and our pictures, so it kind of gives them a really good overview. I also go on to, I always go on to as well Google Maps to give people a better indication of the location of the property, where schools are, where shops are, where kind of network transport is. So while they may not be able to physically look around, it'll give them a better overview of the area as well.
But the other thing is then, through a house, if we can at all, we can certainly facilitate that within reason, you know what I mean? But
exactly.
we do whatever we can, you know, taking into consideration the restrictions that are there at the moment. When you talk about buyers at the moment, you know, you touched on there, we have over 400 buyers registered. What are they mostly looking for in terms of what you're seeing every day? The people are coming through those, and the people that you're talking to on these virtual viewings. What is the majority of people out there? Are they mainly first-time buyers? Is there people trading down?
Yeah, there seems to be a good mixture of it. Well, obviously with our vendors, there's a mixture of people looking to move closer to family, first-time buyers obviously looking for your 3-bed, 4-bed, semi-detached properties in good locations, close to transport, close to kind of communities. It seems to be at the moment. So we would have kind of, I suppose, an awful lot of people who are kind of mixing around where they may be renting in Dublin, are looking to relocate. There's more bang for your buck. It seems to be out in North Kildare.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. The other thing to mention too is that a lot of first-time buyers have a lot more spending power now than they did have maybe this time last year. They had maybe a 12 months window nearly for saving. A lot of them are living from home and whatever. They're not going away for weekends or whatever here and there. So a lot of them are in a lot stronger position than they were this time last year, and in turn then they're able to maybe get the, go for maybe rather than going for a 3-bed, they might go for a 4-bed, or rather than going for an apartment, go for a house, you know. Just in terms of houses, detached houses on their own, they are extremely hard to come by anywhere in Selvage, Leixlip, Maynooth, Kilcock, Stratham. We have a list of people for them. They're just not there at the moment, particularly a double fronted house where you have the home office downstairs, a playroom or whatever, a nice garden, stuff like that. They are literally just, they cannot be got, you know. And we've won there a number of weeks ago here in Maynooth. It made 10% over the guide price and literally was sale agreed within 10 days of going on the market. All young families living in the area, they wanted to upgrade to a double fronted house, and that they were, you know, going to be working from home and whatever the case may be, just needed that bit more space.
Where they're quite happy with the 4 beds. It's the space downstairs that they necessarily want for children, working office, working family home, basically.
Right. And then in terms of the rural properties, they're really in serious demand at the minute, especially any of them that are, you know, modern, of a modern standard at all. But then there's people out there that will take on the challenge of, you know, reinventing a house themselves. But the big thing they want in terms of rural property is broadband connectivity.
Yes.
You know, it's the first thing years ago, in recent years, it was to be asking with the BER. I forgot about the BER now. It's the broadband. They want to know how near the fibre is. It's so important with remote working. So that's really, it's every day, literally once a rural property, it's the one question people do always ask. So maybe, Karen, then the key things for a vendor to have in place before they put a property on the market, we might just touch on a couple of them. Yeah,
absolutely. So essentially what before kind of we put a property, or before we can look to market a property, obviously we have your photographs. We need to be your advisory report and certificate. That would be one of the main things that we need on a property. And we would also need that if there's any modifications being made to the property, we need an architect's cert of compliance or exemption for any extensions to the back or driveway widening, all the little kind of things you don't necessarily need until you go to sell your property. So they're not necessarily thought of, but we'd be quite happy to answer if anybody needs anything rectified on that. So planning compliance and documentation for any upgrades or extensions, that's obviously the architect's certificate. And obviously then you'd obviously need to engage with a solicitor. I think it's always beneficial, it's a little bit, although everything is still moving along, some things are taking maybe a little bit of time, title documents, things like that from solicitors, request them from banks, so I think it's good to kind of get those things in place sooner rather than later, because when somebody is considering.
At the moment, some of the banks are taking maybe 3 to 4 weeks to get the actual deed, so if you put a property on with us tomorrow morning, chances are it's going to be sale agreed in 2 to 3 weeks. Then at that stage, if you go to your solicitor, there's a 2, maybe the 4 week delay while your solicitor is getting the deeds from the bank or the business ID before a contract can be issued. There are 2 or 3 very important weeks to lose, because you're losing the momentum in a sale after starting off on a very positive note, and then there's a kind of things are in abeyance. So that is really, really key. It's one thing I would say is nearly as important as appointing your auctioneer is to get your deeds, get your solicitor on board straight away and get them really into it and get your stuff all prepared, all your ducks in order. We can obviously send you out a list of the key things you need. We have an essential guide for putting your property on the market in terms of all the legal, all the paperwork that you need and all your due diligence you need to do with that. And obviously for ourselves we have to get our B1 or service agreement signed and all that looked after, you know. But the other thing for people to look on as well, if you're looking online, everyone looks online now, the whole world is online, is if you're in a rural property as well, to get back to rural, a website called landdirect.ie. Very, very useful website. Land Direct, the free, is the Property Service Regulator Authority website, and you can zoom in and wherever you live in Timbuktu or Timahoe or in Stalybridge, you can zoom in your property, wherever it is, and you can see your boundaries if they're registered, if they're a registry title, and you can confirm the exact, you know, that they're in line with what's reality on the ground, you know. So just on that, if there's anybody that needs that list of the items that you should really have in place before to put a property on the market, certainly we'd be delighted. Do contact us, and we'll give you our contact details at the end, but we'd be delighted to share it with you. We got a lot of questions in from people all over the last week, 10 days since we announced we were doing this. I think we've most of them covered there from vendors' perspective, putting the property on the market there. I think you'll agree with that. But the key thing to remember at the moment is the market is red hot.
Absolutely. It's properties. People are so active at the moment. Buyers are very, very active at the moment, and everybody. What I will say to you is, but any of our bidders, we always make sure that they have all of their mortgage approval in place, all of their funding in place. Is that if you are looking, get your mortgage approval in place before you do anything else. Get all your ducks in a row. Get everything in order, so you can, though you're not going to miss out the property that you do like.
Yeah, so definitely on the purchasers, would-be purchasers listening this evening. As we said, it is a competitive market out there. Definitely, you're only wasting your time and everybody else's time going to even consider looking at a property. Obviously, you know, and unless you have your mortgage approval, your AIP or letter approval in place, you have to have that. It's the most, you know, it's an essential document, and otherwise you're only frustrating yourself, because chances are you'll go out and you'll see a house that you love and it ticks all the boxes for you, and you don't have your mortgage approval, and from there on you're comparing every other house to that house.
Just because it's so busy and it's so it's working so quickly at the moment, by the time you might get your approval in principle through, the property could be gone sale agreed, and you know, so it's to make sure that you have that in place. Definitely. I suppose another thing, a little bit as security for purchasers, if you want me to elaborate on that, as regarding, like I suppose we're kind of covering all bases on our online platforms with our floor plans, our videos and our photographs. As we will go through with Google Maps and that, and go through the whole property, and there will be Q&A. I obviously do it with, you know, depending on how many people are at it. If you have 50 people all trying to ask questions, it can be very difficult, so they would email or put them into the chat box, and we're happy to answer any questions. But generally what happens is, if one person asks the question, it'll be the question that other people are thinking of, which can be really, really just to kind of give people a security that you won't have to sign contracts when before you go and view the property. You can actually go and view the property once contracts are issued. So that's you know, a little bit of security there for people, which we're working on at the moment.
The other thing I was saying here is if people establish their budget, obviously their mortgage approval will certainly establish a lot of their budgets.
Yeah.
The other thing is the location. The location, the three most important things: location.
Do as much research.
Do as much research as you humanly possibly can. Another very good website to log on to there is one called myplan.ie. Yeah. Very good website. Yeah. And you can actually measure the size of the gardens in the houses with this myplan.ie. Yeah. You can measure how long, whether it's a suburban house, a rural house, whatever. You can measure how much frontage it has, how long the back garden is, all on that. Yeah. Any quiz tech kids out there, you can do that. So that's myplan.ie, a very, very good website. And the key thing about location is you can't change it. If you move into an area, you can't change the location. If you buy a house that needs work or it's too small, you can extend it or reconfigure it. Yeah. But you can't. I've yet to meet someone that has reconfigured a location. No. And I've sold thousands of houses. Well,
or an orientation of a house.
Or an orientation. That's the other thing, you know what I mean? More people are spending time outdoors now, you know, and at home. That the orientation of a property is very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you really want a southeast or southwest facing back garden, make sure you're looking at properties that have that. And like that as well, Google Maps. My plan will all assist you with that and making sure that it is something that you're looking at. Also as well, if you can within your 5 kilometre radius, go and drive around areas and that. But what I'm finding is at the moment, certainly do, but what I'm finding is at the moment is that most people are looking in a specific location. So we would have an awful lot of active buyers looking within Maynooth, looking within Selbridge, looking within Beaksville, Penfolcock. And they're looking at specific kind of locations and areas. Exactly, and when they come up, that's it. Yeah, and they get their email from us regarding that when they're on our database. So that's another thing that buyers, for would-be buyers, ring us and we can log you onto our database then as well. So you'll get a notification as soon as it goes live with us. And you can then be one of the first people then to view a property once it does go live. Yeah.
And you know, make sure you identify. You know, tell us what you want. Tell us what your key requirements are.
Yeah. And your budget. And
we'll register you on our. You know, communication is very, very important. Like anything in life, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing is obviously with our partner, FitzGerald Financial Services, we can put you in touch with someone. If you haven't already got your finance in place, if it's early days for you, whatever, anybody listening, just to bear that in mind. The other thing then we'll move on to Karen for would-be buyers out there is the My Sherry Fitz, the online bidding platform we use now. And we use it at all our second-hand properties. It's non-negotiable for us. It's an online bidding platform. It's very user-friendly. Yes. It's very efficient. It's very transparent. Yes. And it's in real time. Yes. So you might just explain how.
Yeah. So basically, when you're viewing a property with this, you then can log on to mysherryfitz.ie. You can then log on to register to bid on a property, which we will approve you, and obviously make sure that all of your criteria is in place. So you're then certain when other people are bidding that they've gone through the same process then as well. You know, we have mortgage approved buyers who are actually bidding on the property. You can then see the active bids then on the property before you even decide to make it a live bid. And then when you do make a live bid, you will then be notified of other bids or other subsequent bids that come in. So it makes it much, much more transparent. And at one stage, we had over a weekend, one property went up by possibly a couple of thousand over the weekend, but people weren't waiting on us to ring them on a Monday morning. If it happened on a Saturday morning, it was active, it was live, they were notified. So I think an awful lot of bidders are finding it extremely, extremely well and process, and it gives it more transparency as well.
It's in retail. I had a house in the recent weekends there, we got 25,000 after a virtual viewing with the people. They knew what they wanted, 3 parties, and they started bidding, and it was that evening, literally the bidding started, and it just moved on so quickly, so efficiently, and so transparent. People, from our perspective, it takes, I wouldn't say the stress of it, but it takes, it's rather than house having to ring you or email you and waiting to come back. You're going to get it straight away, and it's up to yourself then at that stage. If you want to bid, obviously we're there to be contacted and all, and talk you through anything.
And I suppose as well to mention that we do keep an eye on the bidding process, and even over the weekends we do keep an eye on it to make sure that it is kind of processing. And if it's a case then that people are sometimes not being as active, maybe over a 24 or 48 hour period, we will contact them to let them know then of the current offers, of where the stage the property is at in the bidding process.
Yeah, that's it. That's really, I think it's covered most of the areas there for what would be purchasers and would be vendors. And if you have any questions or queries, make sure and pop them into us there, and we'll give you our contact details in a couple of minutes. Karen, have you much property coming on the next week or 10 days, or have you much? Is your photographer out there doing the videos and all that?
Yeah, he is. Absolutely, we're keeping him busy and in trouble. So yeah, we have a couple of properties there coming on within Maynooth. We've one there within Parklands. Within Selbridge, we've one there in the Grove in Selbridge, and then another one in an apartment there in Stratham Wood that's coming on, an own door apartment.
Ground floor apartment.
Ground floor, yes, yeah, it is indeed. And then we have another second floor apartment coming on within in Selbridge as well, close to the train station. And
ideal for first-time buyers.
Absolutely, first time buyers or investors or people looking to downsize. Lovely location. You're quite close then to all amenities. And Ryvale Lawns, we have another one coming up there in Leakslip, along with Beach Park also as well. So it's a busy couple of weeks.
So Beach Park, it's an A-rated 4-bedroom house, one of you.
Absolutely, exactly.
A lot of buyers are looking for them as well. You know what I mean? There's a house being 3 or 4 years old, you know.
Yeah.
And in terms, I have some lovely house coming on up in Kiltoon, nice bungalow up the country and so on. We have a house coming on in Selbridge as well. While the house itself wouldn't be great, it's on a wonderful 1.5 acre site, really placed in.
Just at the Plain Road, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really to build your own dream home out in Clonfert as well. With another very nice modern house coming on as well. Lovely house in Royal Meadows in Kilcock coming on, a 4-bedroom semi-detached house in mint condition. Really is a nice one. And what else? Tyrmahon have a nice dormer bungalow coming on in Tyrmahon as well. Tyrmahon is popular in Donaghadee. It's close to the forest and it's close to the school and easy access to Kilcock and all that, so it is always a popular area. So I suppose, Karen, maybe to summarise things, there's plenty of buyers.
Yes, we just need more stock. We need
more stock, and anybody out there that hasn't already registered with us, is looking in our area, that's looking in Selbridge, that's looking in Leakslip, that's looking in Maynooth, Stratham, Kilcock, register with us. It's info@sfbradyo'flaherty.ie or 01651 0000, and we'd be delighted to have you there and make sure and get you in here to North Kildare as soon as we can. But as Karen has rightly pointed out, the market is really hot at the moment, and we're all sticking to our guidelines and making sure we're all stay safe and well, which is the most important thing. But something
extremely active for a lockdown level 5 and March. It's much more active even than it would have been potentially in previous years. So
that's it, folks. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to Karen for participating along here with me as well, and thanks to my hairdresser as well, and to our cameraman here as well. So thanks to everyone, and the most important thing is stay safe.